Hi, everybody. We've got an interesting topic today. If you're my age or anywhere near it, possibly 15 years below it, 15 years above it, you might be thinking about downsizing. Whether for yourself in your own home, there's all these new studies coming out that's saying your kids don't want to inherit all your tchotchkes and your home. And there's also a lot of downsizing we might do just because our kids have moved out. We don't need the size space we had before. So downsizing becomes a big, very personal issue. At the same time, many of us are caregivers for parents or others, and we're helping them downsize in their homes, get rid of what they don't need, help them move to other places that might be more comfortable to them or more functional. So, my guest today is an expert at this. Word is that Barbara Brock has organization in her DNA. I have read that and I've heard it from a few people. So, we're going to get right into this topic because she is an expert and I have a lot I want to learn. Thank you.
Hello there, Miss Diane. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate this. This is the first podcast that I've been on. So,
well, we're going to have a great conversation. And
Thank you.
Hopefully you're going to have a lot of people who are rushing to your website and saying, I need to learn more and get in touch with Barbara. So, Barbara, downsizing is a hugely emotional issue on countless levels.
Right.
I mean, I have a baby doll that my grandmother gave me when I was 5 years old that my mother kept for years. And when my mother died and I was clearing out her things, here I find this baby doll. I'm like, this morning I'm looking at it, thinking about interviewing you, saying, what the heck do I still have this baby doll around here for?
And you have just hit the nail on the head. That is the biggest sentiment when somebody approaches the idea of downsizing. Mm-hmm. Now, downsizing, I kind of want to sort of spread it out and tell you about the kind of three different types of downsizing.
Okay, what are they?
Well, downsizing can be general downsizing. And as you hit the topic that, let's say that a kid goes to college. Mm-hmm. Or let's say the mother-in-law or the mother is moving in. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to change your whole living arrangement. That's general downsizing. And then you have downsizing to move. Let's say you're going from one household to another. Mm-hmm. So there again, it's the psychological aspect of not only downsizing, but also the organization of the move. And then we come to senior downsizing, going from a large residence to a super small residence. And all of these are kind of loaded with emotional, not baggage, but emotional thoughts. Mm-hmm. So that when you even start to say, okay, now there's a difference between downsizing and decluttering.
Oh, that's a good differentiator. Can you explain that?
Yes. Downsizing is actually removing furniture. Mm-hmm. But decluttering is only simply editing out what you have and making the distinction, okay, I've lived with this for so long, I can live without it. Mm-hmm. Or it's simply rearranging some of the things that are in your home. Mm-hmm. But downsizing, now there is a lot of emotional input for decluttering as well, but not quite as much as with downsizing. Mm-hmm. With downsizing, you really have to take stock of you have to take stock of what's the priority in your life. Mm-hmm. And that's where we go. As a professional organizer, I go to, okay, let's take stock and let's figure out what you want to take to the next place. Mm-hmm. Because if it's going to be just moving from one place to another, you might downsize your kitchen. You might downsize what's in your bedroom, or you might downsize what's in your office. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are actually easier things to kind of get rid of, so to speak. But when it comes to, let's say, your photographs or your letters, your emotional things like that, I want to say something about papers and memorabilia. Mm. You know, I've learned a lot from Finding Your Roots, that program on TV about they go back into someone's genealogy. And what I've learned that, let's say your mother has kept your report card.
Do you know my mother?
But sometimes those things really make a difference when you're going in back and you're looking at your you want to do a genealogy tree, for example. And, your ancestors really want to know who you are. So sometimes it's really important to pack up those things which can be forward, it can be kept and can be forwarded on to your heirs. But your heirs, speaking of your heirs, they certainly don't want to have to do a lot of sorting and a lot of throwing out.
Right.
And that's another aspect of downsizing. When your heirs get to your stuff, they're going to feel guilty about throwing something out because there's sentimentality that attaches to our things. So I'm really bullish on don't leave it to your heirs. Don't leave it to your kids. So, and kids, if you're watching this, get a handle on that and start talking to your parents about what's important for them to keep and what's important to downsize ahead of that event. That's really important. So downsizing is just so important in your life, and to get a handle on what's important to you. I can't reiterate enough that what downsizing means is living with what you want.
That's a good definition. Living with what you want in your immediate surroundings.
In your immediate surroundings. You were born bare, and you were probably going to die without anything
and
in your coffin.
Nobody's jumping into that coffin with you.
Right, exactly. So while we're living, we want to live with what's important to us, what is valuable. And that's where actually organizing comes in, and organizing often. Because you always want to get clear about what's important to you. And you know how we live today. I mean, I've always said that America is one of the great things about America is that we have entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship means a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, consumerism, and we collect a lot of stuff during our lifetime. But we don't often edit out enough. Is this making sense?
Well, it's funny. I think one of the hardest things about editing out is you edit things out and then you go to look for it. And you're like, wait a second. I know I had that for at least 20 years, but wait a second. I gave that away on my last edit.
Well, that's good, except for the fact that, organizing is you said it was in my DNA. And however, organizing is a skill, Diane. It can be learned. And editing often doesn't mean that you throw away. It doesn't mean that. It just simply means making a decision to not make a decision.
Making a decision to not make a decision.
Correct.
That's
in other words,
interesting.
if you let's say you have a drawer, okay, and there's a lot of junk in your drawer, but you can't make the decision as to, this one thing keeps saying, keep me, keep me, keep me. So just put that aside. Don't make that decision this year. You'll get around to making a decision, and all of a sudden it'll be kind of, you'll decide sort of organically, I don't need that anymore.
Right.
And you'll make that, you'll toss that out later.
I mean, how I kind of approached my wardrobe over the years is something I learned in a business class one time. And they said, if you're holding a piece of paper, you either make a decision on it, you hand it to someone who can make a decision, or you decide to throw it out.
Great.
But
Great.
Otherwise, you're just, or maybe you file it if you have to, keep it. And it's the same kind of way I look at my closet. I look at my closet at the end of every year or season, and I say, did I wear anything of all these, these things here? And if not,
it goes.
Somebody else can wear them.
Somebody else can wear it. But, I always caution that you need to be gentle with yourself. Don't get rid of something that you're not ready to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important when you're working with an organizer.
So I'm curious, since you are a professional organizer, and I want to know exactly what that means, but first I want to know, as a professional organizer, how do you feel about storage units? Because personally, I think they're hilarious.
Yeah,
You know,
they
I'm
might
like,
be hilarious.
oh my gosh, you've actually paid for a storage unit for X number of years. Do you have any idea what's in it? And most people are like, well, I'm not exactly sure. I think this. I'm like, well, if you needed something, would you go? And then they say, oh no, it's too packed. I'm like, then what are you keeping it for?
Right. And it kind of, you're exactly right. But I am guilty of that. I have storage units.
Oh, you do?
I do. And, it goes to the fact of, when my parents died, there are things that I really want that I still am hoping to be able to use at some point.
Right.
But most people, do they make a list of what's in their storage unit?
No, that would be the organization part.
That's the
of a storage
organization
unit.
part. Yeah, right. So that's key to always take a photograph of something that's in your storage unit. And there again, when I'm working with people and we are organizing and they just they're not ready to release something, I say, well, let's just take a photograph of it. Mm-hmm. If you take a photograph of it, you're always going to have it. Mm-hmm. You're going to have that memory. And sometimes that's just the trick to be able to let something go out of your physical profession, out of your physical surroundings. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Now, I want to go back to, you call yourself a professional organizer. What is that?
That is somebody who works with people to help them get clear on what they have, as opposed to your a person in your family or as a person to your friend. It's easier to work with a person who is not close to you rather than someone who you're really super familiar with. Because professional organizers, they set a time limit. Your brain gets tired after about 3 hours. And the organizing profession has just really expanded. It started in 1984. But actually, I want to bring up a fact which I just learned when I was researching organizing, that Buddha in 54 BC, he actually started the path to sort of the middle way. In other words, not overabundance, but not severe moderation too. So he was always preaching that you just don't want to get too attached to your possessions. And that attachment is really what is the overall, I want to say, arch about retaining everything that we have, whether it's downsizing, whether it's decluttering, whether it's paperwork, whether it's a child's toys. How do you break that cycle of holding on to everything so that you just don't get to become that word that I don't like, the hoarder.
Right.
So that you don't, your possessions don't take over your personality?
That is such an interesting point on multiple levels, and I can understand why someone would want to hire Barbara Brock, because I think I've moved probably 30 times in my life. And every time I moved, particularly prior to getting married at 40, I would take whatever I had and say to my friends, you want that couch? Take it. You want this? Take it. And it was always a restart for me. It was a restart. It was a refresh. It was just, I'm moving into a new space. This is my chance to reinvent myself. I would change the colors. I would change everything in every move and only bring a few things. So I could go into someone's house. I can go into my brother's house and I'm like, oh, that's a really nice couch. And he's like, yeah, I got that from you 20 years ago. It's hilarious. My husband, we probably moved, I think, 8 times in our 25 years of marriage. And he wants to take every single thing. And now it's, oh, Diane, but it's important to you. I know it's important to you. I'm like, no, let's get rid of it. No, no, no. He has the boxes. The coffee machine came in.
Uh-huh. Oh, golly gee.
And he's like, well, we have to keep the box when we move the coffee machine.
Uh-huh. How many coffee machines do you have?
I have a lot. I have a lot of coffee machines because I took all the ones from there. Those are in the storage in the basement because from when I had offices, I had coffee machines in them for my employees. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find a school to take them or this one to take them.
Right.
I have even more than I can count,
Uh-huh.
staplers and tape dispensers. Would you like a bunch of 40?
I'm going to call your husband and ask him if he will hire me. But that is what a professional organizer does. She doesn't make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will line up all those staplers, and I will say, all right.
Do we really need?
No, I don't even say that. I'll say, which ones do you want to donate?
There you go.
It's, languaging is very important. Yeah. When I worked for an interior designer, one of the first things he told me is managing your client.
Mm-hmm.
And so wordsmithing is very important. You don't want to ask a person, okay, do you want to throw this away? Because they will say,
no.
They'll say,
or let me think about that. Yeah. Or not today.
Right. But if I line things up, you will see how many you have. Mm-hmm. You will see, and it's easier for you to make that decision.
That
so the
is
client
a great point.
Always makes the decision.
How do you find people respond to you when they know they need you, Barbara? They know their life would be better on some level, so they want to call Barbara to get insight on how they can do this. What's the first reaction when you actually, because I'm always interested in the perceptions of someone that you have when you walk into a place and what might be that of the other. How their thoughts and beliefs are all merging to, oh my gosh, this is going to be a life-changing experience one way or another.
I think it's a two-way street. Mm. I think that they have to feel comfortable with me, and I have to feel comfortable with them. I think that's very important.
I would think that is.
And then, when we start talking and they take me on a tour of, what's important, I need to find out what are the issues that are making you either angry or upset or, just agina in yourself. Mm-hmm. But what are those things? Mm-hmm. That's really important to get to the root of the reason that they called you. Mm-hmm. And once you begin understanding them and once you understanding where kind of they are coming from, then you can map out a course mm-hmm. that is palatable to them. And then you've sort of engaged their mind. And that's important, to engage them in their life.
You mentioned some interesting emotions. What do you think are the emotions that precede a call to you?
What I have learned is that only when people are ready mm-hmm. to downsize, mm-hmm. or only when people are ready to kind of get a simpler lifestyle, mm-hmm. do they call a professional. But only then. Mm-hmm. Only then. It's got to be their call. Mm-hmm. Because, your friends can tell you, your parents can tell you, everyone can tell you that, you might be better served or you might live happier. But until you are ready to do that, it has to be their call. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you something. In all the time that I worked with people, getting simpler, they are so happy. Mm-hmm. Living with what is important to you is the most freeing thing that mm-hmm. ever can happen to you. However, I'm going to go into a sort of a different topic here. There are two types of people. Those that want to put away everything and not see anything, but then those type of people who want to live in disarray. Mm-hmm. Living in disarray.
And there are people who really do like that.
Yes.
That always amazes me.
Yes. That's their comfort level.
Mm-hmm. What have you observed with that? What do you think are the thought processes or the beliefs or the emotions that lead up to that comfort with disarray?
I think that everything in our life, every city,
Mm-hmm.
every organization, everywhere we live, our personality has to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was born in Texas, and here I am living in New York City. And New York City fits my personality better. That it's a little bit more creative for me, or at least I feel it is. So I feel like your surroundings have to your all five senses. That has to meet all your five senses. And I had to look up all the five senses because I always forget one or two. But it's sight, it's smell, it is, I think I've written taste, hearing, and feeling. Right.
Touch.
Thank you, touch. Thank you. But all of those have to kind of fit. And so I feel like the person who has to see everything out has to do that for their being.
Mm-hmm.
For their being. And I have certainly come across people who have that and who can move the needle just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, working with them, basically what you want to do is to set up systems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key to, also another key to a professional organizer, is they want to set up systems for their life so that they can work with that. They haven't had any really systems that work for them. Maybe they've tried this or they've tried that. But working to find what really works for a person, whether it's a child, whether it's a teenager, whether it's an adult, or whether it's a senior.
You know, I think you hit on such a huge, interesting point in that I had a private client at one point that had come from, recognized there were serious hoarding issues in her life, and it was impacting relationships. It was impacting work because the same chaos was heading to work and the office, and it became, we can't have all this in the office. And what it really got down to was she was a child of communist takeover when the Russia changed over to the Soviet Union, and her parents were very communist focused. And she came here with parents that really had that same very strict, austere kind of approach to life at that point,
right,
for a variety of reasons. And so, I mean, she would literally go buy a cup no matter what it, like if it just to have it,
right,
even if it was totally cracked along the
correct.
edge. It was just, well, I need this and I need this and I need this. And that's a tough hurdle to break through, but you really have to get to what the root is. Why is that person believing this is going to make me feel more secure?
So now I have a question for you, which I was posed just yesterday from a client. What's the difference between a saver and a hoarder?
Well, in my unprofessional opinion on that, I would say a hoarder keeps to just keep and find a comfort level that there's something psychologically missing, or something psychologically that they're trying to tap into, an unconscious perception that this stuff is going to make me feel more safe, secure, and comfortable. And a saver, to me, would be someone that believes I'm going to use this at a future time, but is possibly less emotionally attached to it or psychologically attached. I think it's an unconscious factor motivating that person.
All right. Well,
What do you think?
That's good. Her definition was a hoarder is someone who continues to buy. A saver doesn't go out and buy. They save everything they have, maybe their children's stuff, maybe, everything from their deceased partner, everything. They save it. They don't necessarily. Now then, she was also talking from a perspective that she's a senior.
Mm-hmm.
So she has no, but I thought that definition of somebody, who is a hoarder does continue to go out and buy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not even necessarily buying, it's collecting or gathering.
Correct.
And I still think I think the difference is a very unconscious belief that I could lose everything on some level, therefore, or I need this to create stability in my life. Whereas someone who's saving, I think, is saying, I had this, I can reuse it. It's a very, let's say, 1950s mentality versus 2025, where we're in the disposable world of everything can break and we can just replace it. Whereas if we're back in the 50s, you got that washing machine, you probably had that washing machine for 30 years.
The good news is that eventually everything, unless it's memorabilia, that is kind of a separate category. But eventually you do donate, toss, give away something that seems, 5 years ago or even seems just a year ago is important to you. But there again, I'm going to reiterate, edit often. So
It makes it a lot less overwhelming task if you can get into the habit, for sure, of editing often.
And editing often doesn't mean, taking your entire closet or taking, an entire garage at the same time. It just simply means a drawer. Just simply means a shelf. If you have 2 seconds, just get clear on what you have.
So how many junk drawers have you tackled in your lifetime?
That's a good question.
And do you have one?
Do I have a junk drawer?
Yeah.
Do I have a junk drawer?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a junk drawer. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other day, in fact, I was
looking for a safety pin.
The other day, I was looking, and I love cards. I love games. And so I was, my niece just moved in with me, and I taught her to play mahjong, and we play handed foot. And so I had to go out and buy new cards.
Yes.
However, when I looked in my junk drawer, or this one particular bin, I had 7 packs of cards that I did not know I had. So yes, I think everyone has a junk drawer, and I think that but there again, what's important is you really want to live with what's important to you, and the only way you can really learn that is if you look at things often. Now, when I say often, that doesn't mean every month. That may not even be every year. But, somewhere in there, if you look at your things fairly often, then you are able to let go of things quicker.
What do you think of the idea of seasonal purging?
I think seasonal purging is usually done after the fact. In other words, just as you said, you looked at your closet, and after a season, you purge that. So I think that's what you said.
Exactly. Yes, I did.
And so I think that it helps to do it after the fact, not necessarily before the season, because just as you said, there are going to be some things that you're going to want to bring out, and maybe you repurpose it. I'm into repurposing thing. In other words, somebody asks about old T-shirts. T-shirts, the fabric of T-shirts, are so fabulous for cleaning. Exactly. They are so fabulous for that, for rags. Rather than go out and buy something new, repurpose something. Right.
Now, it's so important. I personally believe your space, and not everyone would agree with this, but I think your immediate surrounding reflects how you're thinking. And when I look at my desk at work, and I run a lot of different businesses, my day is very varied all over the place, but it's organized. And when it gets to the point where it's not organized, I can't go in, walk away from my desk at the end of that day or arrive the next day without saying, no, This just needs to get either it gets put away or, like I said, gets tossed or handed to someone else who can deal with it. How do you think surroundings impact people and how they approach their lives?
I think, I think, I mean, I'm also a person who can't start another task until it's clear, until, my mind is clear. And I think it's very important how your surroundings are so important to support yourself. And I go back to the five senses, that it is, that all of these have to be, it's really important to have these in order to be a productive human being. I remember Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox had a design show on TV right after she left Friends called Mix It Up. And there was this man who liked this style. There was this woman who liked this style. And her task was to design a style that fit both of them.
Ah, how did that work?
It was very successful. And that is successful. It's just you have to be surrounded, not only support from your significant other, from your family, from your job related, et cetera, but our surroundings support us and our environment support us. And I go back to saying that everything in our life every space in life has a personality.
Now, those personalities, do you do them individuals, couples, and maybe companies to help organize their lives?
When you're doing professional organizing, you are usually working with one person.
One person.
However, what is so important is that when you organize, you're not just organizing for that person, you're organizing for everybody in the household.
Aha. That's what I was trying to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's important to take into consideration everyone's habits of where they put things. Because basically, at the end of the day, if everybody knows where to put something, then you're going to have a cleaner, a freer, a quicker household because you're going to be able to grab and go.
One of the things that's interesting about that, did I read somewhere that Barbara Corcoran was very complimentary to you?
Yes.
Okay.
In my in my varied career, I was a stager. Barbara actually got me started in staging. Now, in staging, when you go into someone's home, because it's particular to real estate.
Yes.
So it's
I want to elaborate on that.
Right.
Yes, but why I wanted to elaborate on that is, as a professional organizer, I know a lot of people who, let's say, hire a interior designer. And sometimes they've shown me pictures and I look and I think, wow, you're right. That is absolutely beautiful. The stuff this designer does is absolutely beautiful. But you'll be miserable living there because there's no place for your things, for your personality, for your stuff, for lack of a better word.
Right.
As a professional organizer, how do you go in and work through those kind of dynamics?
The first thing is you want to collectively talk to both the husband and the wife and the children if they are above 6 years old. Because you don't want the wife saying, "Oh, well, the stager said that we're going to have to do this." It has to come from an independent person. And you talk to them. I really made a very big mistake when I first started staging because I went into this lovely couple and I talked to them and I said, "Well, you have to do this and you have to do that." And boy, they said, "Well, thank you very much," ushered me to the door, and that was the end of that. So I learned that it's more important to talk about what the buyer wants to see. Our brains are... they're big, but what you listen to, we only use, 10% of our brains? So therefore, if a home is too cluttered or is too filled with things, even too designery, a buyer is going to be a buyer's going to be put off. So I was in the airport one time, and I noticed this couple was reading the newspaper about listings, and I said, "Well, what do you look for in a house?" And they said, "Well, what we look for is if a wall is painted very dark, we think that they're hiding something, a crack, or if a closet is too cluttered, they said, we don't think that they've really maintained the house very much." So, buyers want to be able to go in. They want to be able to move right in. It's very expensive to have to move in and to renovate. So if a seller could take that into consideration, repair the small little repairs, kind of declutter, downsize, that the potential buyer could go in and say, "Oh, they don't see all the seller's things." They and actually, I'll tell you, I've been into apartments with beautiful art, but it's on every wall, and it's just clutters the mind. When you walk in and you see all of this, even a lot of artwork on all of the walls, beautiful, but it clutters the mind. So your mind doesn't really go further. So you want to. That's the reason that that now home staging is just sort of a matter of fact de facto when you're selling. You want to downsize your. You want to downsize the what's the word? I'm having a senior moment here.
I have them right.
The visual, the visual aspect, the aesthetics. That's the word I was looking for. The aesthetics of a place. So, downsizing is you're moving to a new place. Downsizing is, general downsizing. And downsizing, just recently, I've done a couple of downsizes with seniors into senior living. And that probably provokes the biggest agina that I can think of when you're downsizing a senior, because they do feel like, oh, well, my child or my daughter or son is going to want that, so I have to take it with me.
Right.
And usually when they're going to somebody, going someplace, it's usually a very smaller place, so they have to. My role is to actually know the space where they're going into so that I can help them choose the furniture that they want to place in the new place. And then it's up to them to decide on how much they can really take. And it's an easier thing for them.
Do you have a lot of conflicts where a parent is saying, well, I want to get rid of it, but my kids say I have to keep it for them because they're going to want it someday?
You know something? I say, they're going to want it. Let's let them take it now.
Good answer.
Yeah. You move it along. Right.
What are the life events that happen where someone says, you know what, I need to call Barbara Brock?
Okay, well, I've written those down because I needed to. So I would say the death.
Death, yeah.
Divorce.
I could imagine that.
Financial ruin. A catastrophic event. Medical. Or just plain tired of living with so much. Where a lot of people, really do get to. They're just tired of living with so much. And that's probably the bulk of my business is just, helping people to declutter all the financial papers that they've kept, because right now it's all on the computer or they can readily get it someplace. But it is that stranglehold, that step that you have to go to, and there again, I'll say again, it's helpful if you have someone not in your circle to help you go through that.
Right. I can imagine that would be very helpful. What is the biggest resistance you come up against?
The biggest resistance. Okay. I would say clothes.
Mm. Do you have a lot of people who say, well, I'm going to get back to that size 4 one day? There's a lot of psychology in
There's a
clothing
lot of
size. I
there's
know
a lot
people
of
who say,
psychology.
wait a second, you can't touch my closet. I have the size 2, the 4, the 6, the 8, the 10.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And for all the chatter that I can say, well, the style's going to change, or do you like vintage?
But
do
in
you wear
40
vintage?
years, it's coming back.
Right, exactly.
I will have thrown it away
Right,
and then it'll have value.
Right. That's probably the biggest challenge that I have.
How do you address that?
That's a really good question. Do I tackle it?
Mm-hmm.
Do I tackle it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. So and I believe in asking questions. I believe in saying, all right, what does this mean to you?
Oh, good question.
Where are you in and I don't like to use the word psychological journey, but sometimes you do have to sort of allude to, all right, do you want to get back to that size?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So you begin to pose questions and let them percolate
Right.
the answers. I'm a big believer in asking questions. And I'm a big believer in asking the question like, is it possible? I think that those are the 3 magic words. Is it possible? Is it possible you could relinquish this size 2 since you're a size 10?
Mm-hmm.
I don't say it that way.
Right.
But at any rate, so I'm digressing. I'm kind of getting
that's
off the
actually
subject,
that's a very good question to ask anyone in life to get to a little more. I don't know,
Clarity.
to use clarity is a perfect word.
Yeah.
To get a little more clear in any situation.
Right.
Is that possible? Is that really within your realm of possibility at this moment or in the foreseeable future?
What it does is it doesn't back someone in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them kind of an
A wake-up call and an out.
Yeah, right.
It's a combo.
It's a combo. Right. It's a combo. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you do homes and offices? If somebody said, I have an office, I'm thinking about moving it, or we need it better designed, or we need it, we have too much here. What should we do with it? Let's get into that. What do we do with all this stuff when we're getting rid of it?
Uh-huh. Well, if it's an office, I go into my contact list and I look professional organizer, office organizing. I call that person.
Okay.
But your question is, what do you do with the stuff?
Yeah.
So what I've learned about kids is children do want to, they will let go of their stuff if they know it's going to go to somebody who might use it. Or somebody less fortunate. They love it. And so donation is really I would say donation is actually second. I would say the first thing is if you could find somebody who really wants it. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a working person in your circle, whoever. If you think that somebody else could use it and would like it, that would be the first go-to. And then donate. Now, there's a couple of services, that will come, and it's probably the least expensive way you could give away something. If it's furniture and if it's a lot of stuff, they will come and take it, and they have a donation arm. I'm calling about junk luggers or 1-800-JUNK, those people. They now have donation arms. Which they recycle. They don't just, do it to a landfill, which heaven knows,
Right.
which is great. So you want to do that, but then you want to keep. I told you, right in the beginning, there's that area that you're not ready to let it go. So, and then of course there's stuff that just cannot is but beyond repair,
Mm-hmm.
is torn,
Chuck
is
it.
ripped, is, we do it. But so you toss it. But do you shred it if it's
Mhm.
paper? That's shredding services are really a great service.
Mhm.
They're a great service.
Yep. I've used them
Yeah.
many
Have you?
times. Oh yeah. I've had the whole truck pull up with the whole bin in the back. Okay, we can get rid of these corporate files. It's finally time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I don't know how they get rid of all that paper, but it's smaller.
Oh yeah,
And,
it's shredded
it's
into
shredded
like
in-
literally like they use at the ticker tape parades.
Yeah. And then
I think they shred all your corporate files and then sell them to the ticker tape parades.
but paper now can be reused. It can be repurposed.
Yeah.
So I love that cycle of that.
What do you do with the people who say, "But Barbara, it has value"? Do you try to direct them ways to sell it, or put it up on some
Are you talking
forum?
about furniture? Are you talking
Could
about
be anything.
accessories, objects?
Clothing, accessories, furniture, where they say, "I just can't give this away,"
All right. But in today's
but they know it has to go.
They know it has to go.
Mhm.
They know it has to go. So first, if they're not willing to, donate it right out, I give them sites where they can personally try to sell their own stuff,
Mhm.
or a consignment shop. But let me tell you, you don't get very much money.
Mhm.
You get maybe 5 cents on the dollar,
Mhm.
10 cents on the dollar. So is it really worth it?
Worth it.
I mean, if they want to go to that time, it's
Mhm.
really time that that is
Mhm.
involved there
Right.
that they go after. So I try to just give them information,
Mhm.
and then also give them the sites that they can go to.
Mhm.
But there again, if you donate something, you get to take that off.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know,
you get a tax credit.
You get a tax write-off if which I think is brilliant
Mhm.
in our society.
Mhm. Agreed. It has been such a pleasure speaking with you, and I can never believe how fast the time goes. What would be a wrap-up piece of advice you would like to leave this audience with that they should be thinking about as far as their personal environment today and how it could be better tomorrow?
2 words:
Yeah.
edit often.
Those are good words.
Edit often. I have found that that until you get that in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
But until you get, whether it's your clothes, whether it's your sundries, whether it's your junk drawer, whether it's your kitchen, whether it's your games, a lot of people hold on to games, whether it's children's toys,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. If you'll just take a pause, 3 hours,
Yep.
3 hours, maybe once a month, once every other month, just fairly consistent. Get into the habit. It's a habit.
It's funny you say 3 hours. You just reminded me of my mother. My mother was very organized, and she used to say to us as little kids and teenagers, 15 minutes into the job and it's halfway done. I'm like, Mom, you're the reason I struggled in math all these years, because it was never a half an hour job. It was a 3-hour job.
Yeah, right.
And she would say, yeah, but it's the momentum. If you can just get that momentum going.
Well, that brings me to one point that we didn't touch on is, where do you start?
Oh, yeah, tell us quickly because we're
Okay.
out of time.
Okay.
Where
Well,
do you start?
You start with something simple, so that it does give you the momentum, and it
Yeah.
does give you the
Satisfaction, the comfort that
Yes.
you can actually do
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
What is something simple?
bathroom,
Bath? What a great idea. Yes.
your medicines.
Yep.
Simple.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I am
This
so
has
glad.
been so nice.
Wasn't this fun?
Yeah, it was fun. You told me it was going to be fun.
I promised. I knew it would be because I knew you had a wealth of information. My guest today has been Barbara Brock. She is a professional organizer. And wow, she shared incredible information during this episode that we recorded at Manhattan Center in TV2. Barbara, Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, there's going to be all kinds of info below this podcast in all the notes where you can follow Barbara. And I highly recommend you do, because you may want to call her one day, refer to someone, or just plain pay attention to her ideas. She shared immensely great tips throughout this. And I am going to go clean out my bathroom closet right now, because I know there's probably moisturizer from, 2020 that probably should go. Take care, everybody. See you soon.